What's going on, my dollar bills? D-Money here, and today I'm going to be talking about why I love the Spectacular Spider-Man. For those who don't really know much about this show, many would say that this is the best Spider-Man cartoon ever created. It's, there's some debate between this one and the one, like, one or two shows before it. It was just called Spider-Man, but this, by far, is my favorite and many others, and this is just Season 1 with 2 discs, and there's a Season 2. I don't have it on DVD, though. The things I'm going to be talking about in this show that I really love isn't in any order. It's just what I feel like is coming out naturally. So I'm going to start off with the designs. They're great, they're simple but so cool looking, and I love them. Each one is unique and they have their own different way to sort of set them apart from other designs from the comics or previous shows. And even with, like, Spider-Man himself, how his suit is so simple with the web lines and the chest spider and the back spider, and then his eyes are moving, even though that's not really explained sort of like in PS4 Spider-Man or Homecoming. It's still like one of those moments where it's perfect. And then the webbing on the, or his webs, they're great too. Even just some of the regular characters like Mary Jane, Gwen, Harry, Norman Osborn, they're great. Even Flash Thompson is good in this show. We also get to see a lot of the characters mature and change over the course of the 2 seasons. Like, we get to see Flash Thompson start out as a jerk and really grow as a person as he discovers love, as cheesy as that sounds, but it's perfect for a high school story. And we even get to see some villains mature. Like, the best example, Sandman. He starts out as a robber, then a superpowered robber, and then he starts to see that he can really do good for some people. Of course, while recording this video, my battery died. So, hopefully I have enough charge. So, let's continue on. So, the Spectacular Spider-Man has a great story arc. Now, I'm gonna go a bit more deeper into it, into more of how it was going to be ending, even though we never officially saw its ending due to it being cancelled with the contract between Sony and Disney for the cartoon rights. So, there was never an episode where I was thinking, this is dull, this is boring. I was always engaged. Like, there was just no moment where it's like I lost interest. It was that good, and there was always an Easter egg or a hint to something that's gonna happen later on in an episode, and you just want to keep your eyes peeled so that way you can find all those little hidden Easter eggs. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this, I'm not gonna spoil it, but they do a great job at hiding the Green Goblin's identity. It's obvious at first, then it's not, and you think it's another character, and you already know who it's going to be from the comics, but you don't know exactly which comic they're going after, so you're just trying to pinpoint the ideas and all the facts, like, could be this person, this person, this person, or even another person we never even knew about. And they just do a great job at hiding it. And the episode where we finally figure out who the Green Goblin is such a roller coaster of, like, what's happening and who is it. And it was just great how they did it. Another really nice thing is that this show brought some ideas to me that I never really realized yet until, like, some of them were brought up in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie. For example, the main one is like police work. Now in Season 2, Spider-Man's class, or Peter Parker's class, ends up having to take a police detective work class, seminar, and it was very interesting, and I thought it was great because it's a learning experience for Spider-Man to learn more about the law, and it's pretty obvious that Captain Stacy, who leads the class, knows that Peter is Spider-Man. It just seems a little too obvious. Sort of like how I'm pretty sure that in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, Aunt May knows Peter's secret, and it's just bringing some of those stuff we don't normally see to the light, like with the law and order and the Miranda rights and just regular police work, taxpayers having to pay for Spider-Man's messes. It's great to just see that in the light and not just think, oh yeah, he could do that and get away with it. I mean, what are you gonna do? Arrest him? I mean, you can't really catch him. One thing this show will have that you won't really see in shows nowadays is that this has a great romantic love story for Spider-Man. Now, he does cycle through some people like Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane, Liz Allen, and Black Cat, a few others. But with the most recent Spider-Man shows, like the last two, we barely got anything. Like Ultimate Spider-Man tried to do something with Mary Jane. That failed. We got like, what, 2-3 seasons without her, and he just completely stopped being Peter Parker. He was just Spider-Man full time. And we got rid of Aunt May in that show, and it's like, what? And it's just pretty weird. And in the new show, it's like he likes Gwen, but at the same time, he doesn't really care about that. He's just more focused on school and Spider-Man work. And other shows, that stuff gets too explicit. I hope I said that word right. But it's just too awkward and weird for them to pass it through the filter, or it's hard to get it through the filter. And it's just too mature of a topic for kids nowadays that adults feel like. And so this will have it, new shows most likely will not. Now, unlike other superhero shows, this does not start off with the origin of him getting bitten by a spider. Instead, we get him when he's already Spider-Man, and we get little teases and stuff of how he became Spider-Man. Like when he's facing against the symbiote in his mind, or when he's thinking back to Uncle Ben's killer, and just all that stuff. It's great. It introduced it in a new way, and I want to say this was a little bit of inspiration for Spider-Man Homecoming, but I cannot confirm that. Now, for the future of this series that was originally planned, it was released that after the third season, I believe, or there was going to be a season for each class he was in high school. So this was, I believe, freshman year. Then there's sophomore, junior, senior. And then once he graduated high school, the show was going to end. And then they were going to move it on to DVD movies where it was him in college going about some really cool adventures, and sort of like how DC's doing for like Teen Titans. And by the way, I really love how DC's doing that, and just imagining Spider-Man doing something like that. This Spider-Man 2, my favorite cartoon one, that would have been amazing. And we would have been introduced to like the Hobgoblin, Carnage, and we were teased Carnage by seeing Cletus Cassidy, and the Venom symbiote is still in the sewers somewhere. So I feel like that part was a little bit of a spoiler, but you guys don't know how it got there. So the future plans for this show were definitely going to be amazing, and we've seen the Sinister Six a few times in this first two seasons, so who knows what could have been introduced in later seasons. The Sinister Six teens in this series were amazing, and I love them. I would say that this show stayed pretty close to the comics. It didn't go as wild and crazy as like Spider-Man Unlimited, Spider-Man Homecoming, or the current comics, or not the current comics, but the Parker Industry ones with a fancy suit. This is just a kid in spandex trying to do what's right, and it's the basic story, but just enough unique that's interesting enough to watch over and over. Heck, I'm gonna watch this entire season. The comedy in this show is pretty great too. I believe there was one fourth wall break joke that was really good, and the rest of them are great because every villain basically has their own unique joke, and it's sort of hard to describe them in a way because I know some people haven't seen this show yet, and some of my friends haven't seen it, and I want to show it to them one night when we can stay up and watch it together. But I also know that they're probably going to see this video before this, so I'm trying not to spoil anything. But there's so many great ones with like Green Goblin, Tombstone, Venom, Sandman, and my favorite ones are with Montana, aka the Shocker. But the Shocker's always been like not a serious villain, more of like an easy laughing punching bag for Spider-Man. But this show does change that a bit. It adds a serious tone to him, but also makes him a pretty funny, joking punching bag. This show also inspired some pretty great cosplays. I've seen one really good cosplay on YouTube. I forget the kid's name, but he's got like the web wings, his thumbnails like this, and he's got the mask on. It's really good. And then also on Instagram, I believe the guy's name is David Jagger, or his first name is definitely David, but he made his own lenses just like this, and he even did some expressions with them, sort of like how they are in the show. And then he also has the symbiote suit of his costume, and it's amazing. And it's just, this show has inspired people to want to be more like this character, and it's just, if a show can do that, then it's good. The Spectacular Spider-Man is so good of a show that people today are still complaining that there's no more seasons, and they keep saying, why aren't they bringing that show back? It was a hit. Marvel is an idiot for that. And then there's, like, every time I see that on Instagram or in the comment section of a video, there's always someone describing to them that it's not, like, the show would be great to come back. People do want it back. Even, like, Marvel and Sony and Disney want it. But Sony owns the rights to the show. Disney owns the cartoon series, I believe, and also Marvel itself. And so it's just one of those things where it's complicated, and really no one has the rights to bring it back. And that's why we have to keep trying to make something new that can at least be somewhat good. And Marvel's Spider-Man was probably the... As much as I like that show, it was a terrible substitute. They basically almost copied the first villain encounter with Vulture stealing a... I forgot who he stole. He stole the one teacher, and replaced the teacher with Norman Osborn. It's basically the same episode. A lot of stuff carried from that show. You could say it was inspired. But, yeah, so many people really want this show back. I do too. It's not like a petition for like something like Danny Phantom, where people want it back and there's a chance it could come back. It's just... it's a show that we have to cherish. This video is probably dragging on for too long. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure to rate, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Please support me on my Patreon. And if you haven't already seen this show, you can definitely find it on YouTube or any other sites that, well, basically that have cartoons on it for free. This was an amazing show. Highly recommend. And I hope you all are enjoying Webuary. Please tell me down below what you would like to see this Webuary. Have a great month. And, yeah.